Alright folks, welcome to the gritty world of mixed martial arts, MMA, where fighters go through some serious trials just to make weight. Yep, we're talking about weight cutting, the not-so-glamorous side of the fight game where every pound counts. But behind the bright lights and fierce battles lies a tale of sacrifice, struggle, and determination. 10. Daniel Cormier vs. John Jones saga. Daniel Cormier and John Jones were supposed to go toe-to-toe in a much-anticipated title unification bout. However, just 2 days before the event, the UFC universe was rocked when John Jones got pulled from the fight due to testing positive for banned substances. It was a massive blow to the fans who were eagerly awaiting this showdown. But fear not, because in true UFC fashion, Anderson Silva stepped in to replace Jones. Now, Silva was set to face Cormier in what promised to be an epic clash. However, things got a bit dicey during the lead-up to the fight. Cormier was struggling to make weight, and he even requested Silva's permission to weigh in over the 205-pound limit. However, Silva declined, sticking to the rules of the game. When Cormier finally stepped on the scales, it was clear he had endured a brutal weight cut. He looked drained and worn out. Nevertheless, he officially weighed in at 206 pounds, just making the mark, and went on to face Silva. Despite the challenges, Cormier showed his resilience and skill, ultimately defeating Silva by unanimous decision. 9. Anthony Pettis' featherweight struggles. Anthony Pettis, a former lightweight champion, hit a rough patch with 3 straight losses in the UFC lightweight division. Determined to turn things around, Pettis decided to make the drop down to the featherweight division. His first test was against submission specialist Charles Oliveira at UFC on Fox 21. However, Pettis faced difficulties right from the weigh-ins. He looked drained and exhausted, indicating a tough weight cut. Despite his struggles, he managed to make weight and entered the Octagon to face Oliveira. In a back-and-forth battle, Pettis showcased his resilience, but Oliveira emerged victorious, securing a submission win in the 3rd round. Pettis' featherweight journey continued with a scheduled interim title fight against Max Holloway at UFC 206. Once again, he faced weight cut issues, missing the 145-pound limit by 3 pounds. This time, his struggles showed in the fight as he didn't perform at his best and was eventually finished for the first time in his career by TKO in the 3rd round. 8. Chris Cyborg's weight-cutting struggles. Chris Cyborg, the Invicta FC featherweight champion, is notorious for cutting significant amounts of weight during fight week. Despite walking around at 170 pounds when not competing, Cyborg agreed to fight at a catch weight of 140 pounds in the UFC, as there was no women's featherweight division at the time. Making her UFC debut against Leslie Smith at UFC 198, Cyborg faced intense challenges during her weight cut. She pushed her body to the limit, describing it as the worst experience of her life. However, despite the grueling process, she managed to step on the scales looking lean and ready for battle. Cyborg went on to defeat Leslie Smith in impressive fashion, showcasing her dominance in the Octagon. With the UFC later introducing a women's featherweight division, Cyborg's struggles with weight cutting could soon become a thing of the past as she aims for UFC gold. 7. Conor McGregor's weight cut woes. Conor McGregor, the former UFC lightweight champion, has had his fair share of brutal weight cuts, particularly when competing at featherweight. Despite walking around at 170 pounds, McGregor had to shed 20 to 30 pounds to make the 145-pound limit. His weight-cutting struggles were evident during weigh-ins, where he often looked sick and exhausted. McGregor's difficulties with weight cutting led him to face Nate Diaz twice at welterweight, where he didn't have to cut as much weight. However, McGregor's move to lightweight proved fruitful as he became the first ever simultaneous 2-weight UFC champion by defeating Eddie Alvarez. McGregor's weight journey highlights the toll extreme weight cutting can take on a fighter's body and performance inside the Octagon. 6. Demian Maia's last-minute weight cut. Demian Maia was slated to face Michael Bisping at UFC on Fox 2. However, when Bisping withdrew due to injury, Maia faced a new opponent in Chris Weidman on just 10 days' notice. With limited time to prepare, Maia embarked on a grueling weight cut to make the 185-pound limit. Struggling immensely during the weight cut, Maia almost blacked out and had to be assisted in and out of the sauna due to his depleted energy levels. Despite the challenges, Maia refused to quit and successfully made weight. He then went on to win the fight against Weidman by unanimous decision, showcasing his determination and resilience. 5. James Irvin's middleweight misstep. James Irvin, primarily known for fighting as a heavyweight, decided to make the move to the middleweight division. Scheduled to face Alessio Sakara at UFC on Vs. 1, Irvin's weight cut didn't go as planned. Looking visibly drained during the weigh-ins, Irvin's weight cut appeared to take a toll on him. Unfortunately, his struggles continued in the fight, where he seemed slow and was ultimately finished by TKO in the first round. Dana White later commented that the weight cut killed Irvin, indicating the severity of the situation. 4. Renan Barão's bantamweight battle. Former UFC bantamweight champion Renan Barão was notorious for cutting 30 to 40 pounds before his fights. However, his weight-cutting woes reached a critical point when he was scheduled to face TJ Dillashaw for the UFC bantamweight title at UFC 177. During the weight cut, Barão passed out, prompting his admission to the hospital and subsequent withdrawal from the fight. Joe Soto stepped in as a replacement, highlighting the seriousness of Barão's condition. Barão later moved up to the featherweight division, where he found success against opponents like Philip Nova. 3. Kelvin Gastelum's welterweight woes. Kelvin Gastelum struggled with weight cuts throughout his UFC career, particularly in the welterweight division. Despite his attempts to make the 170-pound limit, Gastelum faced challenges, including missing weight 4 times. At UFC 205, Gastelum failed to show up at the weigh-ins, unable to make the 170-pound limit. As a result, his fight against Donald Cerrone was cancelled, drawing criticism from UFC president Dana White. However, Gastelum bounced back with a middleweight fight against Tim Kennedy at UFC 206, where he secured a TKO victory in the 3rd round. 2. Johnny Hendricks' welterweight struggles. Johnny Hendricks encountered difficulties making the welterweight limit throughout his UFC career, missing weight 3 times. Despite his struggles, Hendricks managed to make weight for his title fight against Robbie Lawler at UFC 171, where he weighed in at 171.5 pounds on his 2nd attempt. After losing the welterweight title, Hendricks continued to face challenges with weight cutting, including suffering an intestinal blockage during one of his attempts. Eventually, Hendricks moved up to the middleweight division, where he secured a unanimous decision victory against Hector Lombard at UFC Fight Night 105. 1. Anthony Johnson's weight class journey. Anthony Johnson initially competed at welterweight, but faced significant issues with weight cutting. After experiencing hardships and being released by the UFC, Johnson made a triumphant return as a light heavyweight. Competing at 205 pounds, Johnson showcased his dominance with impressive victories over his opponents. His success at light heavyweight highlighted the importance of fighting in the right weight class, as Johnson flourished when not subjected to extreme weight cutting. And there you have it, folks. The raw, unfiltered truth about weight cutting in MMA. It's no walk in the park, that's for sure. But as we've seen, fighters are willing to push themselves to the limit in pursuit of victory. And hey, if you enjoyed diving into the world of MMA with us, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe for more exciting content. Until next time, where we bring you the latest and greatest from the world of combat sports. Take care, and we'll catch you in the next video.